Tammy, I don't see you on the agenda here. Am I missing something before we start?
Treasurer's report bills, number 7.
Oh, okay, all right. Now I see it. I'm going to read. I was right looking at something else. Okay.
Read all the words.
Yeah, I should. All right. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started here with our meeting of Tuesday, August 27th, Village of Cambridge, the Board of Trustees. And there's 4 of us, so we've got enough for a quorum. We'll ask for a roll call.
Brian A. Franklin, Hollenbeck.
Here.
Christ.
Here.
Blackwood.
Here.
McNally.
Here. All right. If we can stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Moving on, proof of posting. Lisa?
The agenda was posted in the upper and lower levels of the Amundsen Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, the Badger Bank, and the village website.
All right. Okay. Looks like we've done what we needed to do. We're going to move on to public comment. We have 2 folks in the audience. Does anybody care to make a presentation? Jenna, if you want to come up, introduce yourself, please.
Janet Evans, taxpayer in the town of Oakland, and quite honestly, I wasn't going to make public comment tonight until I saw the Cambridge Fire and EMS Commission agenda for tomorrow evening, which was very concerning to me. First of all, I don't see anything on the agenda. Last week I was at Rockdale's meeting, and Alicia Hines noted that the commission had taken out a line of credit to pay payroll because Cambridge and Oakland had not paid their dues yet. But I see nothing on the agenda to approve any type of loan or line of credit that was taken out without any authority from either the Fire Commission or any of the municipalities, so that's very concerning to me. The second thing I wanted to bring up is under 13D. I don't know if any of you have even seen this because it just came out this afternoon, but there's 2 items, a Wisconsin FDID application, and for those of you that don't know what that means, that's an application to apply for a fire number and apply for a fire department. We already have a fire number with that institution and a fire department. So it leads me to believe this is under, that they're looking to, the commission is looking to establish a new fire department with a new fire number, and that's very concerning to me as a taxpayer. Under that same item is a SAFER grant application, and I don't know anything about it except for what I found on the website, and according to the website, it's for folks to apply for to use the money to pay for hiring of firefighters full-time. So that's also very concerning to me that these 2 items are on the agenda when there is a mediation, is my understanding, scheduled for September 26th. So how can these items be on here and maybe possible action items if there's mediation already pending? So I, as a taxpayer, would encourage every board members from every municipality to be attending this fire commission meeting to figure out what's going on and I don't know, take action to ensure that our volunteer fire department stays in place. I don't know any other communities that are experiencing the financial experience we're experiencing with our fire department when they only ask for an operating budget of $90,000 a year, and that's been consistent for the last 3 years. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time? Okay, we'll close this portion of the meeting here for our public comment. Let's move on. Item 5, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any, are there any questions, any concerns, issues?
Not for me.
Okay, all those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It carries. All right, thank you. Moving on, 6A, President's Report. I received a mailing from the school system, and it's the annual report. I've invited Margie Banker, the superintendent of the Cambridge Public Schools, in to speak, and I heard from her associate. She can be here on October 9th, 2024. So that's the sole item that I wanted to just mention for this evening. All right. Library Board?
We talked about the strategic plan being underway, and we're looking to have that completed by the end of the year. We have a bilingual collection that we're looking to have unveiled, I believe, the beginning of October. Very excited. That was based on a donation that we received. The library is busy with trying to weed out the nonfiction in the nonfiction section to get some of our books up to date, because we're sadly out of date with many of our nonfiction titles. And we're working on the budget for 2025. As a matter of fact, a subset of the board is the library board is meeting right now to talk about the budget with the director. So that's about it.
Any questions for Paula? All right, thank you, Paula. Moving to item C, 6, Public Works Committee. Looks like
I did bring down the minutes. Chuck is the chair, isn't here. We had a lot on the agenda. We did have a couple public comments speaking against the proposal that was presented to the committee on having artificial flowers on Main Street to keep real flowers, live flowers. Later in the agenda, when the committee talked about it, they did decide to just stay as is. Number of reasons: supporting local business, the aesthetics, and so forth. Springwater Alley update. MSA is just looking at some of the stormwater lines, so we should be getting final answers by mid to late September what exactly needs to be done there. So we'll look to get bids this winter, do that work in spring. In the meantime, Todd can continue doing some cold patch out there. LBK Park, with the new developers agreement, we're at $122,600 for the park. So I'll be getting some new quotes from the recreation for playground equipment, looking at some options for adult activities as well. Pickleball courts, not a full shelter with water and electricity, but just a covered area where picnic tables and stuff can be, different things like that. Todd will be looking for quotes or figuring out what it'll cost to grade it and put the sidewalk in on the one side. The sidewalks, Todd has done an inventory of all the sidewalks in town. Per our ordinance, we assess back to homeowners, so he'll work with MSA to get a RFP out for sidewalk work to be done next spring. What we have to do then is figure out how many squares per resident, what it would cost. We have to hold public hearings and so forth before we can go through that assessment process. So that too, we'll do the RFP this winter, look to do the work in spring. One question that has come up is terrace trees that are causing the sidewalks to buckle and so forth. We've had residents asking if they're your terrace trees, why are we responsible to fix the sidewalk? So Todd will look and see how many squares are affected by the terrace trees, if that's why they're buckling and so forth. Get some costs, and once we have more definitive answers, that will come before the board for discussion. Main Street flowers, like I said, decided to keep them as is. West Side Park, we'll talk to MSA about removing the liner if there's issues being in the floodplain there, how that would affect it, grading it, fill, and so forth. There was some hesitation about removing the ice skating rink, even though the last couple winters it has not been feasible because of the weather. So there was talk of getting a quote for, they have portable ones that you just put up in the winter and then take down. See what those cost, but also talk that this could be something to take to the foundation for a grant request. They did start looking at budget stuff. We'll hold one more meeting before audit and finance starts to kind of weed that out more. And right now they're pretty on track for the year, but move some things around. Do anticipate needing more money for trees next year. So we'll be meeting on that one more time before you get your swing at it.
Kristen, did you?
More money to take down trees, you mean? More money for taking down trees?
Yeah, as they're doing inventory, they're finding more trees that are damaged and dying. And
Kristen, anything? You were at last night's meeting.
No, well, he just talked about the potential for needing to look at the replacement of the mule, which is a budget item that will.
The budget they will be looking
at.
Equipment needs.
Okay, I think you got everything else. So, all right, thank you for that update. That's Public Works. Let's go to, we've got Personnel Committee.
Chris is the chair of that. That was a closed session, so nothing to report.
All right, okay. Public Works, I do not see Todd.
Todd is not here. He had a family emergency, and where did I just put my notes that I printed out? Shoot. Did I not bring them down? As you can see, they finished up the retention wall out here. They're working on getting lines painted before school starts. Working on a number of these projects that were discussed at the Public Works Committee. I forgot my list. So that was his.
He's going to be starting his budget process too.
Yeah.
And
Yep, he started looking at it, and
All right.
we'll get together the equipment, where they're at with the equipment.
Okay, all right, thank you for Public Works. Now, Village Office updates.
I'm really upset with myself. I just elections were a big thing. We did do training with our poll workers. We used our electronic poll books for the first time. They worked really well. We were really happy with them. Going through the reconciliation process, which is a lot easier now. There's still work we have to do, but everything gets downloaded from the electronic poll books, so we don't have to manually enter all of the voters and so forth. We have been working a lot of time on the fire and EMS stuff. Tammy completed our video providers reports for the DOR. A lot of ongoing projects. We finalized the developers agreement for the Vineyards Apartments. Working on, as I always say, a lot of ongoing projects, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Starting to work on some of the things that we'll need for the Quick Trip when they turn over liquor licensing transfers and so forth. Tammy's been working with the DOT on the signage for ATV routes so that ATVs would be able to get to the new Quick Trip. So a lot of background things with that. Starting budget, like Paula said, library is working on it. We have received from the police and courts that will be on the Joint Law Enforcement Committee on September 10th. Public Works is working on it. Tammy's starting to do her work on it.
Gonna meet with
Derek and Vicki and Tammy will be working on water and sewer budgets. What else was on my list? A lot of stuff going on. A lot of ongoing big projects.
Okay. Questions for Lisa?
Oh, I have a question. The audit,
Yes, that was one of the things. Tammy's got just a couple last questions over the last couple weeks. They have said the final should be ready next week.
great. Do you know why it took so, I remember when they were here, and they said they'd have it done in April or May
Yeah.
at the latest. Did they give you any?
I don't know.
They haven't really given me a reason.
No. Every time we think we're really close, they send a couple more questions.
Yeah, I think I sent them the final stuff just today.
Yeah,
I've
last
been in contact with him. I talked to him last week. He said should have everything finalized by the beginning of this week and final things by the end of this week. So I'm hopeful.
Final.
Yeah.
Final, yes. I'm hopeful. But I've been keeping in contact with him, so I know where it's at.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Lisa. We'll move on. Treasurer's report and bills. Let's take bills first.
Some of the highlighted bills over 5,000. It says Cambridge Foundation. That should say development on there. That was for 14,201.78.
That was one of the things, the developers agreement payments to
Oh yeah, that we
the winery and the
distillery. that-
distillery.
okay. Dancing Goat, $6,990.38. Dean Health Plan, $8,006.33. Stafford Rosenbaum was $7,618.82. Village of Deerfield, $17,803.43. Associated Bank for some bond interest was $17,180. The first run of bills was $64,981.33. The second run was $27,223.94 for a total of $92,205.27.
Okay.
I will make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $92,205.27.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion? Questions?
On the the vineyards incentive payment of $14,200. I noticed in the packet there was a financial statement, and it was dated July 31st for this year, and we had budgeted $210,000 for the vineyards incentive payments, and we had already spent $237,000.
This is the second payment. So the first payment goes after we do the first tax collection.
Okay,
And then whatever, like, if everybody hadn't paid by July 31st, that's where the second payment comes from, is everybody that paid by July 31st.
so the 14,000 adds to the 237.
Yes.
So we're going to be over 250,000, and we only budgeted 210.
It's, and that's,
Correct.
But I thought when we did the budget, we knew what their taxes were.
We make our best estimate at the time?
of assessed values and so forth of the homes, if assessed
Correct.
values have changed and, but
Yeah, it's
We
it's
missed
a
it by,
guess. So like if assessments have gone up, then obviously the tax payments are gonna either go, they're gonna go up or down.
So is there more coming, or will this be the end?
That's it for
That
this
should be
year.
it for this year.
We missed it by 25%. Our best guess was only 75% accurate.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Did Cambridge pay the fire commission dues for the third quarter?
We're going to get to that,
Oh,
Janet.
I'm
We
sorry. I thought it was in the
Yeah.
treasurer's report. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Okay.
not on the agenda anywhere, but we did pay them last week.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Blackwood,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. All right. Treasurer's report. You kind of hit one item already, which is the
Yeah.
audit. So we got that.
And then in your packet, I printed out budget items, and I chose just expenses this time. And I highlighted some areas that either need a little bit more clarification for you, or explanation, or a concern. Let's get in order here. Okay. So starting with the legal work, that's the first one, it's on page 4.
And actually, if we want to wait, that's a budget item too, or a agenda item,
Oh, okay,
if we
okay.
want to wait to talk about
Yep,
that.
we can wait to do that one. Okay, so when you go down a little bit further, I highlighted all of these that I thought maybe could use a little bit of explanation. The admin flex benefit, this is what comes out of each employer's paycheck that chooses to do the flex spending program. And then as it's paid, they send an email, and then I do the check. So it's kind of a pass-through. It comes out of the employee's account, and then it comes out of our account when we pay it. So just, that's hard to guess how much everybody's gonna sign up for each year, so that's just kind of a pass-through. So I didn't want you to be,
So if it's a pass-through, shouldn't the actual cost be 0 then?
what do you mean?
Well,
I mean, we
if
have
you
to
withhold
show
10,
it.
if you withhold 10 from Paula and 20 from Mark, that's 30, and you pay 30 in, the net amount 0.
Right, but it shows everything that we've paid. That's your total paid. These
Well,
are just expenses.
Where's the withholding at then?
That's under payroll.
In revenues, government accounting, you can't do the
They don't do them side by
revenues
side.
and the expenses in the same.
So it's like they're getting taken.
Yeah, okay. Normally you'd net the two together and it'd be 0.
Not in government accounting, unfortunately. It's
So we probably,
a different animal.
would we have budgeted the same amount in revenue as we do expense? So in effect, our revenue's gonna be $5,000 greater?
Yes. So it'll show however much we paid out, it's gonna show that coming
Yeah.
in from each employee, yeah. And that's, a lot of the expenses work that way, where if it's a pass-through, you're gonna see it up in revenues, and then you'll see it in expenses. And I wish it weren't so, because it'd make things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you gotta really know everything that's going on in your budget. And I'm still getting there. We have quite a bit of, we have a large chart of accounts, so. If you go to page 5, it says municipal building hourly wages. This is for our, and I don't know why there wasn't a budget amount for that, but that is for like our custodian that comes in and cleans. And so that's something that we really want to look at for this next budget, because we had 0 there. And it could be that it was included underneath payroll. I haven't dug that deep into it just to see yet, but that's something we want to be aware of.
I think it may have been, because I don't know if we had made the decision if we were gonna hire somebody like Peaches was,
Correct.
or if we were gonna contract it out.
That-
So
okay.
I think we
That
included
makes
it
sense.
under the,
Okay, that makes sense. So it's probably covered under the payroll, but since we're doing it kind of as it's a contractor now, we'll want to put an item there. Insurance property, I've noticed these need to be segregated out between water and sewer, stormwater, and the village. So
Library.
that's something that I'm working with the auditors. I'm sure we'll have some journal entries and things to allocate that differently, and I'll work with Workhorse too. They can help me with that. So some of these are not in the correct location, is why we're so over on that. Let's see, nothing of concern on page 6. Page 7, another example of it not being in the right account, Public Works seal coat patch. Seal coat patch is what we would go around and fill just little holes around the village. This was coded as probably one of our projects that we did, probably on Highland or something.
Yeah.
And it should go down further under streets and roads, where we budgeted 30,000. So it just needs to be
So those tool
Correct.
balance out. that-
correct,
Okay.
correct. Park playground supplies, we didn't budget anything for that, but we ended up spending some because we needed to do some repairs with the playground equipment at Westside Park. So that's something that we probably should have a little bit set aside for in the next budget. Page 8. We didn't have anything budgeted for Melsters because I don't know if we knew at the time we were doing the budget if we were gonna do anything with Melsters or anything like that. So that was like I think a board decision to pay some, I think it was MSA to do some work there. So, and as that gets more going, we'll have to really think about that if we wanna put something in that category. So we've got something to cover that. And then right-of-way refunds. Actually, that's gonna be 6,000 there now, but that's also kind of a pass-through. So it comes in, they pay like a security deposit or a bond when they're gonna work in the right-of-way. And after they're done and we see there hasn't been a lot of damage and it looks okay, then we refund it back to them. So that's also one of those ones that's kind of, it comes in, goes back out. Just so you're aware of that one. Those are all the ones that kind of really stuck out to me that I wanted to give a little bit more explanation.
Thank you.
I know we're going to talk about it later. Where's legal?
It's on page 4.
It's the very first.
Very first page of the budget, or of the bill.
4. I think I started with 5. What does it show?
If we have to
got
find
mixed
the
up.
legal,
One page is like
by the legal,
Village
Yeah.
by the agenda item,
Yeah,
but
okay.
if that's an agenda
Yeah,
item.
it is. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
couldn't,
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
We'll talk about that in a little while.
Yep, okay. All right. Questions for Tammy? Anything at all? We're okay? All right. Well, thank you for this, this more detail as far as our expenses and showing us what's going on. It sounds like you're getting a handle on this. You're more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and we'll go over the revenues at another time, because I want to get the auditors' journal entries, things, so that it's more correct for you.
All right. Any other questions for Tammy? Okay, all right. Thank you. Moving on, item 8, new business. Start with A, Village of Cambridge Ordinance, cross connections. Lisa?
The Water and Sewer Committee approved having a company do cross-connection inspections for us. This updates our current ordinances to match state statute, to allow them to go do these cross-connections. So, brings in line any new changes in the state.
Okay. Do we need to do anything, or is this
Yes.
just a
I'll make
general?
motion to approve Village of Cambridge Ordinance 2023-04 2024-01, an ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 1321 of the Village of Cambridge ordinances to provide for a program to protect the public water system from contamination due to backflow of contaminants through water service connection to the public water system.
I will second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. Item B, appointment of Jim and Linda Lowe as poll workers.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jim and Linda Lowe as poll workers.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, now we're going to come back. Budgeted attorney fees for 2024.
Okay. Also, I made a spreadsheet for you in your packet.
That says Stafford and Rosenbaum on the top?
Yes, yes it does. I tried to break it down, so like for each bill, it's the month after. So February 24 is for everything that was done in January. So I broke it out by general. Dancing Goats on there, TID 6, Vineyards, Scott Farms, Melster, Fire EMS. Expenses, that would be for like Jane to come to the meeting, like her mileage expense. And then I took general, and out of that general, I pulled out, because meeting attendance falls in general, and then like phone calls, like if Mark's called to speak with her, or Lisa's called to speak with her and ask questions, or talk about a board meeting, or something that's coming up, that's all in general. But I wanted to pull out what was the highest costs on each bill, and that was the meeting attendance. And so those are all listed separately at the bottom. So you can see each category up at the top, what we've spent for each so far this year. And now, so when we come up to the budget this next year, we really need to take a look at all of these categories and anything else, because we have 2 other TIDs. We've got, and just kind of maybe forecast and see what might be coming up so that we're not shorting ourselves like this. I mean, this year, I don't think when we did the budget, we had any idea that we were going to spend that much on fire and EMS.
And to be fair, that meeting attendance is probably increased because of the number of closed sessions we've had to have.
Correct.
Regarding fire and EMS.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
If you take out the fire and EMS stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be sitting in a much better position.
And some of the categories, like TID 6 will be collected back from the TID. Melsters, places we have the developers agreement, Scott Farms, those, again, can be
Built
built
back.
back and show in revenues, but aren't reflected here.
Correct. But I know that we've had lots of questions about that line item, and I had brought it up a couple meetings ago, so I wanted you to just kind of see where we're at and where it's all going.
Good breakdown.
And in the packet, Mark, you had asked for this to be on the agenda too, and Zach Pulliam had provided something, so that's in your packet as well on the legal expenses.
Is it possible that you could send him a copy of what you've done here with this?
Sure, and he can find it on the website as well.
Okay.
'Cause it's in the packet on the
He
website.
gets copies of all the packets.
All right.
It's on
Okay.
my email list.
And he probably has it.
All right.
I think one thing I'd like to note about, when I first came on the board, because when I was on the board before, we did not have an attorney at every board meeting. And when I came on the board, I was like, why do we have an attorney at every board meeting? That makes no sense to me. That's an added expense. But I will have to say, it has been invaluable to have our attorney at the meetings. I can't think of one meeting that we had Jane here when we didn't need her to be here. So having her to provide clarification for the board and for the board as a whole, because while she may talk to Mark, or she may talk to Lisa, or Tammy, she might talk to you about something, when you guys relay things, everything comes from your own perspective and not really what the lawyer is saying. And I think it's important for all of the board members to understand what's coming from the lawyer.
And vice versa, if she's not here and I have to relay what happens at the
Right.
board. And to follow up on that a little bit, when we did go out for an RFP for new legal services, the board did include in the RFP for the attorney to be at the meetings. Village board and plan commission. I think plan commission, she's only been to one or two. And like you said, at board meetings, we try to look if there's not things on the agenda. Tonight, there's nothing that, we need legal direction on. She doesn't come, but if there are things that she's working on, involved in.
I mean, you can see there's several items on here that we need her to take care of. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
beyond our scope
And
on some things, so.
And part of it is we've realized not having the attorney in the past, the developers agreements and so forth, we've ended up going back and having attorneys look at them after the fact and spending more money. So having her more involved on the front end so that we know we're getting it right and not going backwards.
So late last fall, we talked about, I guess you'd call it virtual meeting capabilities. And I brought it up a couple times. When are we going to get that rolling? I mean, we probably could have saved at least half of this expense of her attending meetings.
The $482, that's her mileage.
No, I'm talking the $11,600. We're paying her for sitting in the car for an hour and a half here, an hour and a half back. And we could have paid for any kind of equipment we needed already with just say, not let alone the MSA people that were here and said they would save all kinds of money by not attending our meetings. And there's just all kinds of low-hanging fruit money on the table here, and we're just not doing anything about it.
That could be a good question for this next coming budget, and really maybe talk serious
Yeah.
about it if you're interested.
And possibly a foundation grant money, and in honesty, we are so swamped. It's, I hate to say it hasn't been a top priority to try to dig in and find equipment but there's so much.
I mean, I don't want to overstep, but it's kind of what I do or what I have worked on. So if that's something you would like me to assist with, I could certainly see what we currently have that we might be able to use in that capacity.
Yeah.
And the key here is that we can use Microsoft Teams meetings, which is free for us.
Yes.
So I mean, it's included in what we're already paying for. So then it's just a matter of getting, a couple of pucks and for speakers so that we can put it more on the table and then one for her. We can set a laptop right there.
Just, you have to be careful when you're all going to do a meeting and you all are here, and if you have your computers on at the same time to see what's happening, it really interferes with the sound. So
we wouldn't do
people
that.
that are here
Yeah.
probably wouldn't need to be on
No, the
their
only
computers.
one who would be on would be
The attendee.
And
the room.
I think that it should, if you're going to do that, it should be open to other people to watch on Zoom.
Maybe that's step two.
No,
Let's
that's
get step
two,
one.
because
Okay,
the
we're,
point
yeah.
of this, the point of that was to get board members not to open it up to the public. Because if we go to open it up to the public, that's a whole different ballgame. So like you said, let's do it in smaller increments and let's do the,
Low-hanging fruit.
Can that be?
I'm just thinking of my previous municipality, we would have people, it would be on Zoom, but they couldn't vote. Their sound was turned off. It was basically just to watch.
right.
and we have tried working with the library smart board.
That's not,
We've had issues where our laptops won't connect and we have to use Samantha's laptop, and so we have tried doing some stuff, but that has been difficult.
Is there confidential concerns, like with closed sessions and things like that, in using something like Teams?
Not if used
Not
Teams.
if.
Because Teams, we could specify the only people invited to Teams is like the
The engineer.
the attorney, the engineer, and then the staff laptop.
Okay.
So it would be the staff laptop and then just the other person. We can limit who we're inviting to the meetings.
Okay.
I'm going to suggest we move on, but I'm going to bring this back when we get to future agenda items. And because I think that's a good idea to have us look at this and, figure out if there's a way with a nominal investment. But we've got the attorney's fees. We understand what that is. So anything else on that one? Okay. Thank you for your...
I don't know if you want to address Zach's letter to the board in here, but,
I think we kind of addressed most of the things
Yeah.
we asked about in
Yeah.
there.
you
I
know, a lot of it is contracted. They're not going to work pro bono for us or
Mhm.
decide to lower their rates or, but,
And we did go out for an RFP when we originally did it, and these were the rates that we agreed on. Quite frankly, I think Jane has been doing a fabulous job for us. So I would hate to endanger that relationship at all of this.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Item 8D, Plan Commission Economic Development Committee vacancies. There's a couple of them. And new one came in. It seems like we've got a board member that we're looking for.
Yep.
And you'll give us an update on that a little bit later. And then we've got
yeah, that was one of the items on my list today.
two committee assignments that we're looking for.
So we just received yesterday, Tara Mahalski has stepped down from Plan Commission. And then we have 2 vacancies on economic development. Christian Lang and Kevin Merringer from the bank has taken a different position, so he is gone. The Economic Development Committee is set by ordinance, the membership. Those 2 that were vacated were the real estate or retail position and the legal or banking position. So I think our question, do you want us to do it similar to what we've done for village boards and, putting it out on the paper, on the website, that these vacancies are there, submit letters of interest? Because these may be a little more difficult to fill, it doesn't necessarily have to be, by a timeline, but as we get letters, we could bring them before the board.
I think that's the best way to try and handle it. I mean, if anybody personally knows anyone that might fit the roles for those, letting them know that those openings are out there might be good. And to reach out to the village staff office, at the village office, to inquire about the process to apply to fill one of those vacancies.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. Dancing Goat Rick House Plans, recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Here for that, so this was recommended by Plan Commission. MSA had a couple points, and I attached MSA's points. Most of those have all been, a lot of them have been addressed already. Plugging into Oakland wastewater on their property, they addressed that at their meeting last week and approved it. They're working with the engineers just on those water main plugs. Dane County has provided their stormwater. We have received the NOI from the DNR. So we are moving forward. They did request an early start permit just to start with the foundation and footings on the Rick House. So since we've received the plans and Plan Commission met, they've been very proactive, meeting all these points that MSA has.
I'm sorry, so of the 5 points in the NSA document, have they addressed all of them?
They're still working, and correct me if I'm wrong, the 2 water main plugs, still working with the engineers on that, but the other 3 have all been addressed.
That's accurate. I'm happy to come up
Yeah.
and provide a quick update.
Yeah,
Sure. Come on up.
yeah.
If you could introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening. Bo Bunce, Dancing Goat Distillery. Yeah, everything that Mrs. Moen has stated is accurate. For us, Dancing Goat business is good, and we're truly just following through with our long-term plan that was presented to the village probably back in early 2020 when we initiated those long-term plans. We purchased the 50 acres from the village off of Lagoon Road. So Dancing Goat, we have received the approval from DSPS for the second barrel warehouse. The proposed building is going to be about 20,000 square foot and a house up to 10,000 barrels. MSA reviewed the initial construction documents and recommended the village approve the site plan contingent on those 5 items that we started to discuss. We address those and submit those back to the village for staff review. Our engineering firm has been working diligently in sending, they're going to be sending the updated site plans to MSA for the final review, specifically to the water main layout and for them to issue an owner approval letter, which my understanding is the letter is a component of the DNR water main extension permit. Today, we just got the updated site plan that would address items 2 and 3, which are the water main plug and the thrusting blocking, which has to do with the connection points and I believe a valve for if they need to relieve pressure for any future work. So at this point, we feel we're in good standing on all of those items, but I just got the updated site plan this afternoon. So if MSA doesn't have the updated site plan, I'm sure they will this week.
And a clarification too with the water stuff, the rink houses themselves don't have water in them. So it's more for the fire hydrants and so forth, so.
Correct, yeah, and I believe
it's-
wastewater should come up on a future meeting.
Yeah.
As a separate item.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions if you have them for me tonight. Otherwise, if I can, I promise myself or one of my colleagues would get back to you with the information.
Is there any reason why those items were missed on the first go-round?
That's a great question. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just maybe didn't realize it was necessary or?
Yeah, I think there was probably just a miss on those connection
But-
points where it would have been ideal, because I think when working with COWC to change those connection points, those are on village property, but I am not exactly sure why those were missed on the initial proposal.
Yeah, and the things like the stormwater and the NOI are things that have to be done anyway, so we have received those. We have received the variance, the fire department approval.
And as Lisa said, we have been moving some earth, but keeping you guys apprised of that going on, just to operate in good faith, because we are hoping to get occupancy later this year and continue to grow the business within the village.
We need more barrels of whiskey.
I know. Right? We're
Good
working on
whiskey.
it. We need more storage. Got to put them somewhere safely as well.
I had a question on
Yeah.
the no sprinkler system, and I asked the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it, but that is something that if they have it, lightning can travel down this thing. And it never dawned on me that
And like with the first Rick House, if one of these starts on fire, the intent is not to put it out.
Mhm.
The intent is to contain it.
Contain it.
So
That's why
it
we have
doesn't
the
spread,
containment
because
Roast marshmallows.
thousands of barrels of whiskey,
Okay.
we're not gonna put
High
it out.
contain alcohol.
It would not be a good thing.
No.
And,
Yeah.
you know, we do everything that we can with lightning mitigation, working with the fire department and communicating with the fire chief throughout this process, for this building and for future buildings, because that is one catastrophe that we absolutely want to mitigate.
You mentioned hydrants. That's a hydrant and hydrant. There's hydrants out there?
There are hydrants out
Okay.
there. So more if there was a fire,
Mhm.
there's moats around it
Yep.
too for fire
Yeah.
suppression. But the hydrants are there, they're gonna be watering down the buildings next to it and so forth, not trying to put out the building on fire.
Okay.
Protecting life, property,
Yeah.
and the land that
Okay.
extends outside of the containment
I didn't
basin.
realize there were hydrants out there.
Okay,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for the Dancing Goat contingent on the water main items that were brought to our attention by MSA being addressed.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
I'll second that.
further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the plans here from the Dancing Goat, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carries. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you all.
Lots of work on that packet, thanks for providing it. Lots of
Certainly.
information.
And congratulations on your business growth.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
See you guys out at the distillery sometime soon.
All right. Okay, let's go on to unfinished business. Start with Highway PQ Bridge Project. Lisa.
So, as you know, we're doing the bridge in 2025. We did have a public involvement, public hearing, that there wasn't much involvement. I think Mark came, there was one resident came, and 5 of the engineers are county workers, and yeah. But there's 3 things that the village needs to make decisions on, from the plans that have been presented, that we have talked about some, do we want these or not? You know, do we want a flashing beacon at the crossing, where the bike trail goes across? When we've met with the interest groups, the county, the engineers and so forth, the school bus company, they, you know, noted how much traffic there is and the kids walking, so that had come up. Looking, this is not part of the plan. There's a possibility if we're under budget, it could be part, you know, could be paid for, but there's no guarantee. They'd expect that would be 10 to 12,000 to village expense if we want that, you know, 5,000, 6,000 for one on each side of the road. Second thing, there's standard railings that are used. I did include pictures, if we have 1 or 2 top options, to let them know. If we wanted anything other than these options, it would be at additional village expense. These are the ones that they include. They did send something. We do have the choice of color. This isn't in the packet, I just had received this. Typically they use brown or black. It could be white or a blue, the brown, a gray, a green, a reddish brown, black. So we can decide if we want it colored or just their standard, you know, what they'd normally use.
Easiest to maintain. That's what I want. Whatever's
Yep.
gonna be
Yeah,
easiest
they
to
did
maintain.
say, there's an option to not have it painted and leave it just as the galvanized steel as well.
And then we would never have to repaint it.
So that's an option as well. The third item to address, and I just got the numbers from them. So coming from the park at the end of the bridge, the sidewalk does not continue up to the sidewalk at the corner building here. So if the village wanted the sidewalk to continue just that extra little space, it would be adding the sidewalk and redoing the driveway approach to the back of the Kevin Korth's building there. I just got the estimate from them, $11,000 to $15,000. 60% of the cost would be the asphalt, 40%, or 60% would be the sidewalk, 40% would be the asphalt to redo the driveway. So that's a decision. Do we want the sidewalk on both sides of the street? It's just that one little stretch that we currently don't have the sidewalk.
I think we need to have the sidewalk on both sides of the bridge. Whether or not we choose to extend that sidewalk, we don't necessarily have to, but I think it's important to have the sidewalk on both sides of the bridge.
The sidewalk will be on both sides of the bridge, but it's that extra,
Yeah, extending.
if
yeah.
people are on, I'm terrible
Yeah,
with directions,
Yeah.
on that
They're on
side,
the north side.
are they gonna cross to get to the sidewalk, or are they gonna come on the road?
People just walk along that road, but
Um,
people do it now.
But if we're doing it, it would be, if we wanted, it's 11,
I think we should look at doing that, as well as the crossing lights, and maybe looking at borrowing money to do those two projects when they come up. I mean, it's a safety issue. It's not safe having people walk out in the street. And as soon as someone gets hit, we're going to say, why didn't we put the sidewalk in? I just think it's short-sighted on our part, not to look at our safety of our citizens.
not on that
Bridge?
side.
Do we
Just on the-
have
on
to
the-
make
just on
decisions
the one.
about this, Lisa?
On the,
They need them
the west
sooner
side.
rather than later.
So today,
They
we're
would
making
like if
decisions
we
on
have
these today?
decisions, yeah. As they're getting together their final plans, I think I put their timeline in here. And we need to, so submittal of preliminary plans. We will be starting any real estate acquisition, which will be easy, because it's the county and the village that owns most of the land around. But if we are gonna do that sidewalk and the driveway, we'll have to work with that property owner and,
But don't we have like easement rights and things like that?
there are some, yeah.
I'd like to see us where some of this, I think, maybe the foundation would want to help. I don't know if they can come in on this one or not. Like, for instance, the painting.
I mean, what we can say is what we
do,
want,
and then decide
we
if-
can figure out how we're gonna finance it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then change our mind
Well,
if we
it's kind of
don't,
a long-term asset, though.
yeah. If we say later on, we,
Construction's not till
not a current
2026, so,
year.
yeah, we can look for grants or borrow at the time.
Yeah.
all right, so you're just looking for approval then of what you have here?
Yeah, the flashing beacons, do we want to, and like I said, there's a slight chance that if there's extra funding left, it could be covered, but no guarantee. That would be 10 to 12,000.
Yeah. I'd be in favor of all three of these.
I like the last railing the best in the pictures.
C6.
Is it just the railing we're looking at, or the
Yeah, the
cement work
railing.
as well?
Just the railing.
Just the,
This is black here, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's the style.
yeah,
Style.
it's a little
we're
more,
looking at.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like
Oh.
the last one best because it doesn't have that separate, top part. All the rest of them have like a separate top part, and that just makes it one railing instead of, and if I'm thinking about painting and repainting, I don't like the chain link fence, the one that has the chain link fence by it, I don't like that one at all, but, yeah. Okay, so that's my opinion.
Okay.
And then, color, what do you guys think about color? Do we want them painted? Do we want them, just leave them galvanized so we don't have to worry about maintenance?
Well, they powder coat this probably. I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to take it off and do it again in the future. You like black, you like brown, you like green?
Black seems to
I'd
go
stay
with
away
everything.
from
I think
white.
black, if we're gonna do a color.
I'll throw out, do we want to do blue jay blue?
It is a specific blue, and I tried printing off, it's a blue, medium sky blue tone. I do have the website here, if on your computer you want to pull up the colors, but
Does
I
not
couldn't
sound-
print them out.
I would say that I vote black.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion with all that included? Go ahead.
Are you all good with C6? They said if we give our top two options.
Yeah.
A second, our second option.
How about C1?
See,
Is probably the next least fussy.
yeah,
So I'll make a motion that we request the bridge railing and color similar to C6 in our packet, or C1 as a secondary choice. And as well, that we request the sidewalk extension be completed, as well as the flashing crossing lights. Is it- oh, where's that? Why did I miss that? Oh,
Okay, we got a motion?
did I get it
I'll
all?
second.
All right. All right, Kristen's going to go ahead and second.
Yep.
Is there further discussion?
So this is gonna be a 2025 expense?
2026.
2026 expense.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
great, even
yeah.
better, we've got time to
Yeah.
figure
Got
out.
time to plan.
Excellent, I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Do we need to, is this a roll call item?
Sure.
And we're not spending the money yet. So I don't
Well,
think so.
We're not really spending money
Contracting
right
to it.
now.
Okay, well then, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're going to go with this. Thank you.
This two carried.
Moving on to item 9B. Chris is not here. And I don't, is there anything else that's,
Like Jenna mentioned, they are meeting tomorrow. I did send you guys copies today. I received an email, actually came to Tammy from a company that had past due bills from 2023 and January of 2024 that have not been paid yet.
I saw that.
So I did forward those to the commission members. Said, we're not responsible for paying bills, but I'll refer to them.
Okay.
One of the things that I wanted to point out, at the Lake Mills meeting, Mr. Schrader talked about the contracts, the contract negotiations that are not finalized yet for the EMS members, but he did talk about it being a retroactive contract, which means those costs would be incurred to us this year. And as of last calculation in May, they had already spent almost $1 million in wages and benefits.
Oh my God. And this would be an increase over that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's, I don't know what to say about that. There's a meeting this week,
All right.
Tomorrow.
correct, Jenna?
Tomorrow night at the fire station, according to the agenda, says 6:30.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
6 p.m.
6 o'clock. Sorry, Mark.
6.
6 o'clock tomorrow night at the fire station.
All right. Thank you, Jana. And my question to you, you've already answered it. We made our payment, the check was sent out,
Yes.
right? Okay. Did we hear from the town of Oakland?
Yes, they approved it. They were sending theirs out as well.
Okay. So they did get back to you. I had asked them, and
One other, just follow up, which was also on my list. The proposals are due in this week. We do have a meeting next Thursday with Oakland to look at proposals
okay. All right.
for EMS.
All right. Okay, if you've got anything else for questions, I guess just submit them to Chris, or I'll go through Lisa first, and then she can get those sent over. All righty, thank you. Correspondence? I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Questions, referrals of staff, future agenda items. I've got two that I'd like to add to the Dancing Goat sampling plan. The new board member, have we received any?
We have received two. It's
Right.
been in the paper, on the website. It will be on our September 10th agenda. Too.
Right.
I'll maybe reach out to all board members on questions, and we'll do a closed session like we've done in the past.
Okay. And then we're going to have Safe Communities update. The two items that I would like to add, going to follow up with one we've already talked about here, Zoom capabilities. I don't know where to start.
Virtual meetings.
Okay, that's
Because I
fine.
don't think we'll use Zoom.
All right,
Mhm.
I'm fine with that, whatever.
Just because we already have,
Yeah.
we already have Microsoft solution that we're paying for, so why
Yeah.
would we pay more money for something else?
I think it's not going to just be a matter of, what's it going to take to get it, but I think we also have to establish policies here as far as what we want to use it for. And the other item that I'd like to see us circle back on is the drainage district and the fallen trees and what is happening, if anything, and maybe we need to start looking at other alternatives as far as tree removal.
I don't think we can't do
I don't think we can.
We can't afford it.
I know that, but I know I've been asked by people, and is there a way our guys could oversee volunteers? But I don't want to get into that.
Whoa.
I don't want to get into that. I'm not talking about it tonight. I'm just want to bring it up.
The insurance, the liability,
And
that
Yeah.
would be,
One of the biggest concerns is the underlying pipes there too. But
Okay.
Jane, I know, has been in contact with the drainage district, so she'd be the one to.
Okay, so those are the two items that I wanted to talk about. Are there any others?
I had two that are kind of related. One is, could we review the audit next meeting if we get the final audit?
I think that would be a great idea.
And then after that, I'd like to have a discussion about the finances and since we're just starting our budget process, if you go back and look, I think it's 6 or 7 years ago, at least 6 or 7 years, we've overspent our budget every year. We spent more than we're bringing in. I think we need to have a discussion about what's wrong with the process, either the budgeting process or how we spend money, that we can't stay within budget and we're in a deficit position in our general fund and we shouldn't be there.
Okay. It's valid. Anybody else? Paula? Chris? Nothing? Okay. Upcoming meetings. September 3rd, Economic Development. The 5th is a joint meeting with Oakland. The 9th is Plan Commission. 10th is Village Board. September 11th, Library Board. September 17th, Water and Sewer Committee. And finally, on September 24th, Village Board. And that takes us to item 13 on your agenda. Anybody help, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It carries.
I didn't want to become the Dwight of the board.
Oh,
I don't want to be the Dwight, he'll always do the adjourning.
you, yeah.
Remember Dwight?
Wait,
Dwight
joint
always
enforcement.
adjourned.